I, 46 meters, have been with my wife, 45F, for 30 years. We started dating in high school in 1990. We were exclusive almost immediately. Obviously, we were both very young, and this was the first serious relationship for both of us. I went to college after high school, she worked full-time. I was at a local school, so I was home Friday, Saturday, and Sunday almost every week. I graduated in 1999 and I proposed. We always knew we were getting married and agreed it best to wait until I graduated. We moved out of state. We waited a few years to get married, and we are still married now with 3 kids. I have a great job, she doesn't have to work, our kids are awesome, and we have a full, rich life. I had always suspected with circumstantial evidence that she had cheated on me with someone from her work back before I graduated, around 1999. Just FYI, I have never cheated on her. I pretty much just let it go because I am willing to admit that I was never the most emotional person, the most caring person, or the most romantic person. Maybe she just needed some emotional support one day and 2 people just hit it off and it was a one-time mistake. Shit happens and you move on. After all, we were together for 8 to 9 years when this happened, and she never once did not show love to me. She denied it vehemently and swore I was the only guy she had and will ever be with, had sex with. It always stung a little, but I let it go. Fast forward 20 years to 2020, and I found out she was having some inappropriate conversations with a couple guys online on Facebook. They were flirty with sexual undertones, but I didn't really think anything serious. She's just that kind of person. After we talk about it and I asked a bunch of questions, the conversations went in all different directions. When she couldn't answer things, one of the guys is just some random loser that always had a crush on her, but it turns out the other guy is the one who she cheated on me with. My suspicions from 20 years ago were now confirmed, but not only did she have sex with him, they had a several-month-long relationship and they remained friends. So on days I was at school, she would go to his house after her work. She swears it meant nothing to her, and she even went as far as saying he was lame and she didn't like him that way at all. But it happened repeatedly for months. And she did become friends with him on Facebook 10 years after the cheating in 2009, and she chatted with him very inappropriately for about 6 months. And then the conversation suddenly stopped. Very odd. I don't know what to make of that. To make things worse, she would occasionally, like every 6 months or so, check his profile, like a photo or whatever. I know all this because I saw her Facebook activity log. She swears she never saw or spoke to him after 1999, it was only online. Not sure I believe her, but the nature of the online conversations, this was clearly headed to another meeting with him. And I'm not even sure it didn't happen again. After all the times she told me it never happened, after all the bragging about us being together for all these years and that we have been the only ones ever in each other's lives, I just don't believe anything she says anymore. Since this all came out last year, our relationship has had some of the most incredible moments of our lives. Our sex is better and we are communicating better than ever. But there are so many days, like today, where I am so hurt and betrayed and sad and dying inside, and I don't trust her at all. I hate to admit, but I just sit in the dark and cry all day. It happens a couple days a week. I don't believe anything she tells me about her relationship with this guy. And it's killing me inside. I want to know everything about her time with him, where they went and what they did. I can't stop thinking about it. Even when we are having a great time, I'm thinking about it. I ask her things and she gets defensive and says she doesn't remember. That's plausible, but I don't believe her. It's the things I feel I don't know that are tearing me up the most. I know that her other partner knew about me and was trying to break us up. He knew we were married and was sweet-talking her again. And she went along with it all. I obviously still love her, but my ego is getting the best of me knowing there is a guy out there who thinks this was okay to do to me, and that when she shows happiness now, in my head I am thinking that she is thinking I can't believe I got away with this. Probably not true, But I'm 50-50 on that one. I don't think I will ever truly forgive her no matter how much I love her. I just can't figure out if it is better to leave her so I can forget it all, or if life was better with the roller coaster ups and downs. I know she loves me. Maybe that's all we should need, but I am an emotional wreck. Will I ever get over this? It's been 8 months and I'm still devastated by it. I love my wife, I love our life, I live our family, but I am dying inside. Top 5 comments. 1. To cheat requires a series of conscious decisions. It is never a mistake. Talk to a lawyer. Get options and advice from a legal standpoint. Separate for a while so you could think things through. Surround yourself with people who you trust 110%. And end of it all, you should decide what to do: divorce or reconcile. Good luck. 2. This is a huge problem, friend. If this dude lived closer, they would have hooked up. Her behavior online verifies she isn't as pure as you think she is or was. I think you need to shock her, like consider a legal separation and DNA test the kids. The fact she hid that previous relationship from you for this long indicates she isn't really the person you think she is. I'm sorry. 3. If you had found out she was cheating on you in 1999, what would you have done? This will never go away. The main issue being she doesn't seem to be showing any remorse. It was so long ago. She continues to lie by saying she doesn't remember. Does she have Alzheimer's? No? Then she remembers. She remembers every detail. Especially since she has decided to continue the affair. You are Plan B. Her safety net while she gets to play single. For any chance of reconciliation, she needs to provide a detailed timeline of the multiple affairs. She needs to actually show remorse. But given she has been lying to you for 20 years and the affair lasted this long, her only remorse will be just enough to get you not to leave. That's the only remorse she will have. That her provider will leave and she will have to go back to work. 4. You're really in love with the person you think your wife is. As she gets older and has suffered no consequences for her philandering, she is letting glimpses of her real self out because, why not? Nothing's going to happen to me. 5. It sounds like the boundaries of your relationship have not been respected. Even if it happened a long time ago, the trauma is happening to you now. I've read that betrayal trauma can take 5 years to recover from, with counseling and support in a marriage where both are committed to moving forward together. You are just starting the recovery process. Part of what seems to be holding you back is that you do not believe she is being honest. Disclosure is critical to healing for many people. She needs to be open and honest about the degree and duration of her infidelity. This might best be done in a safe space with a therapist for both of your sakes, as it will be painful to hear. There is no reason for her to be in contact with someone she was involved with under any circumstance. Yes, even if they work together, find another job. This isn't your case, but I'm making a point. This is a continued betrayal of your marriage and it should stop. I'd argue all communication with men on social media should stop based on you saying that this is how she is. It sounds as though you really love her, and it's so hard to reconcile the experiences you've had in your marriage to your wife with the person who would betray you and lie to you for this long. It's possible to move through this if you both want it and are willing to work hard. If you decide you don't want to, it's totally understandable. You don't owe her anything. If you do stay and work on things, make sure she is doing a lot of heavy lifting in terms of personal counseling and couples therapy with you while you work through your trauma with an expert of your own. I hear you make excuses for her behavior. Don't. You might be able to understand why something happened which will help you to forgive, but please don't think you deserve this. My fiancée, Heather, and I have been together since we were 24 and 20. We met each other when she started working at my place of employment and immediately hit it off. Within a few months we moved in together and happily lived together for 3 years. When I was 28, I got an amazing job opportunity out of state. It came during a great time because our lease was just ending, so I decided to take the offer. Heather initially was going to come with me but decided to temporarily stay behind to help her family take care of her sick grandma. After her grandmother passed away, several other familial obligations kept coming up, so she never ended up joining me permanently. I was gone for nearly 4 years, but we stayed in a long distance, what I thought was a committed relationship the entire time, with her periodically living with me for a few months at a time. Tonight I decided to finish up my Christmas shopping and remembered that Heather had talked about wanting to buy a particular camera lens in an email earlier this year but needed to pay off some bills first. I no longer have access to that email account but thought I would be an amazing fucking boyfriend and find a way to get her the expensive gift that I knew she would love, so I decided to see if she still had the email in her sent folder. We live together again and share everything, so I honestly didn't think it was an invasion of privacy or anything, but I ended up discovering that she was cheating on me for almost the entire duration that I was gone. I'm completely gutted. From what I can tell, the guy lives out of state, and based on their communication I don't think they ever met up, but after doing a bunch of digging I am disgusted with what I've found and have no doubts that she cheated on me. Her email was full of videos of him fucking jerking off, disgusting shit she sent him, explicit conversations, plans for a future together, etc. What makes me the most angry/upset is she even saved screenshots and audio recordings of Skype conversations and whatnot that they had. For what reason, I don't know, but it's clear to me that she loved this guy at one point. After spending the last 5+ hours searching frantically through all her personal information like a disgusting fucking creep while she sleeps, it appears that their relationship ended at least a year ago. Which makes sense, because that's not too long after I got back in town. Now that I know all this, it's so obvious and I feel like a giant jackass. All those times when she was too tired to talk or was busy with family stuff, she was just talking to that asshole. I just don't know what I should do. We just moved into our new house together this summer, we have pets together, all our finances are intertwined, we're supposed to leave in a few days to spend a week with my family for Christmas, and then a week with hers, and our wedding is scheduled for next fall. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Is this something that counseling could even get us through? A part of me just wants to pretend I never found any of this out because it's going to completely fuck up my whole life, but I know I will never be able to look at her the same way again. Should I just fume about it in secret for the next few weeks so I don't ruin our family's Christmases and then deal with it? I'm so pissed off right now, but I don't want to make any rash decisions. As much as I hate my fiancée in this moment, she's all I've ever loved for the last 9 years, and if there's some way to make this work, I'm willing to try. I just logically don't know how I'll ever forget the conversations they had. Please help. Thought I'd give this a chance to see if I can get some insight into my situation, as I can't see what I have done that's so wrong and what I can do to remedy it. So we've been married 15 years, together longer, and have 3 kids. She has a daughter from her first relationship who's now 18, I class her as mine. I've done everything for her, and we have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old sons. Now she was upfront and honest when we got together that she was bi, and it was never an issue last year until she said she thought she was ultimately a lesbian and had fallen in love with her now fiancé. 35F, and it led to a divorce as I was unwilling to open the relationship or consider a poly situation. So, we've been divorced a year, although we're still friends and have a good co-parenting relationship. Even though we're good, I still am suffering and can't say I'm even close to moving on yet. The kids live with her primarily, although I see them multiple times a week and can say if I didn't have them, I'd have nothing. So basically I got a call from my ex earlier on in the week saying she had to tell me something. That she's now engaged. I was shocked as fuck. Basically she said they're not going to do the typical thing and have a long engagement. They're looking at getting married as soon as lockdown has been lifted, and they're on about moving in together as soon as possible. And there's more. She said she wants to have me as her best man, as she still considers me her best friend and can't think of anyone else she'd rather have there. Suffice to say, I told her I wasn't happy with it and said I'm not going to be her best man or don't think it's a good idea for me to be at the wedding. And definitely don't like the idea of moving someone in around my kids after a year. Now my kids love the fiancé. My kids are always talking about her. Suffice to say, she was upset and we haven't spoken since. I mean, if that was just it, then I wouldn't be that upset. I mean, in what way does going to a wedding seeing my wife marry the woman who she left me for seems like a good idea? And to be the best man. My kids found out though, somehow, are really upset. My daughter particularly really went off and said she thought I was better than that, and if I don't go to the wedding, she'll never talk to me again. The youngest two don't want to come and see me this week and also have refused to talk to me. I'm still close and have a relationship with my in-laws, and they've also have been on my case saying I should go. Especially for my kids' sake. Here's where I need help, and someone to talk to. What do I do? I mean, the last thing I want to do is be false and go to a wedding watching the woman who I thought I'd be with forever marry someone else. Yet I hate the thought that my kids are suffering and the prospect of not having them in my life, even if it's for a short while, is like torture. Help. Update. Basically everything all moved forward today. So I basically thought I'd be best to reach out to my daughter, so I messaged her along the lines of, hey, I know you're not talking to me now, but I think we really need to talk. To my surprise, she agreed and came over very quickly. Basically I said to her that as she's an adult, I won't sugarcoat things now. I'm really not in a good place, and her mom getting married to her girlfriend and asking me to be best man is a bit too much for me when I'm struggling to move on with my life. She said she sort of understands, but it hit her close to home. She then came out to me as a lesbian herself. She said she's known for a while now. She told her mum/my ex a while ago but wasn't sure how to tell me, and because of the way I reacted to the wedding, she was worried I wouldn't be able to accept it. I reassured her that I love her dearly and I'm proud of her for being honest with me, and stressed the way I feel about her mum and her now fiancé is nothing to do with the fact they're lesbians, but because she's my ex-wife and I can't just turn my feelings off like that. I'd feel exactly the same if her mum was marrying a dude. We hugged it out, and she said she'd talk to her brothers and see if she can get them to come around, because they live with mum and see the fiancé often. They see her and love her a lot. So they don't understand. I said to her I can't promise I'd go to the wedding eventually, but if I feel up to it I may try, but it will be hard for me. While she was here, she FaceTimed her mum from her phone and I got a chance to talk to my ex. I basically was honest, said I feel like she blindsided me and sprung it on me without thinking about how I feel. Especially putting me on the spot about making me her best man. I said the invitation to the wedding was one thing, but that was a bit too much for me. She took it all in and apologized, and admitted it's because she's all loved up and her family are giving her all the platitudes about how happy and proud they are, so she got caught up in the moment. She asked me how I feel about it now. I said in all honesty, it's a bit too much to consider at the moment. But I definitely am not going to be her best man regardless. She understands and said she won't expect that of me. But if I didn't want to go to the wedding itself, would I be interested in going to just the reception? I said in all honesty I don't know if I can. And she shouldn't expect me to. She agreed and said she'll leave it to me and will try to understand if I can, but would be made up if I can. The boys were there, so I asked if she could put them on, but they didn't want to talk to me. Honestly, that feels like a punch in the balls, so I left it there before it started me crying and she saw it, and let the daughter leave. So I could be on my own. I've never liked her to see me too emotional, especially cry. So there you have it. We've all made peace as such, but there's a long way to go yet. Edit. A lot of people have said about her cheating. Whilst she did meet her now finance before we split, I don't believe there was physical intimacy. Possibly an emotional thing, but I don't believe they got together until we split. Edit 2: A lot of people have picked up on not showing emotion around my kids. I do show emotion around them. I'm loving, funny, affectionate, humble, etc., and I do show sadness at things like funerals, but I generally don't like them to see me cry, especially at things like this.